Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Edwards, and I attend Jones Leadership Academy, and I am currently a junior.
Hello.
Okay, so my presentation is on Black Wall Street and our new Bloomberg lab that just opened up at Jones. Reconstruction. A period in America after the Civil War was to rebuild the South, and African Americans became citizens, which was the 14th Amendment. African Americans gained the right to vote, and that was the 15th Amendment. And they ran for political office and won congressional seats. So these are a couple of the first black members to be elected to the United States Congress. Unfortunately, people felt resentment about African American achievements. By the end of the Reconstruction period, Jim Crow laws were set in place. There were oh, okay. There were poll taxes to limit the African Americans to vote to limit the African Americans, and voting was just a few of the laws that were passed. Through all of this, African Americans preserved, and an example of this was Black Wall Street. In 1906, O.W. Gurley bought 40 acres of land in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He sold parts of that land to African Americans. His vision was to create something for Black people by Black people. All of the businesses were owned by African Americans. Some of them were banks, grocery stores, movie theaters, salons, pool halls, and offices for doctors, lawyers, and dentists. They also had their own schools, post office, and banks. The town generated wealth in the black community and made many African Americans prosperous. Lost my face. Already too focused. I'm still in the pictures. Okay. So Jeremiah Hamilton was known as the Prince of Darkness and was born in 1806 and died in 1875. He was the first black millionaire and Wall Street broker. Bringing the past to the future. Jones Leadership Academy was awarded the opportunity to have the first urban Bloomberg finance lab in Toledo, Ohio. It is only one of two in the United States. Students will learn about portfolio management, commodities, equities, economic indicators, currencies, and options. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Oh, sure. Let's do that. Can we get a picture? We're going to meet you in the back by the TPS wall and get a picture, okay?
Are they in the back? Thank
I'd
you,
just say-
Dr. Barnett and JLab staff and student. Awesome. And now I have the honor of announcing those employees who have given retirement notice with 25 years or more of service. Sandra Haskins, miscellaneous laborer, at the administration building, 25 years of service. Amy Whaley, 5th grade teacher at Beverly, 25 years of service. Janet Einhart, 7th grade teacher at Ottawa River, 27 years of service. Janet Reynolds, campus protection officer at Scott, 29 years of service. Linda Quapich, secretary, Mayfair Early Childhood, 30 years, 2 months of service. Judith Jones, bus aid transportation, 35 years, 11 months of service. That is for a total of 172 years and 7 months of service at Toledo Public Schools. Congratulations.
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you to our students and the leadership at JLB for coming and doing that presentation. I loved your introduction, Mrs. Myers, but I was really relieved when I saw them come forward to do the PowerPoint, because it's really exciting stuff going on over there. Appreciate that. We are at section 3, community comments. I believe we are going to recognize Ms. Smith. Is she here? Does not appear to be here. So we can go on to section 4, organizational input. We're happy to have someone here representing Parent Congress, Ms. Morales. Do you have?
Thank you. My name is Emily Morales. I am a meditation guide, a yoga instructor, and a TPS parent. My daughter goes to Raymer Elementary, and my son is at a preschool at the East Toledo Family Center. Thank you for allowing me the time and space to contribute what I have to offer to this meeting this evening. My intentions and purpose behind speaking here today is to introduce some more practices of mindfulness into the schooling systems through workshops, introducing them to allow the parents to practice at home and in the classroom as well. As we all know, and I'm sure are familiar, that a majority of our children, students, parents, as well as teachers are experiencing high levels of stress and reactivity, resulting in a number of issues we face within our school systems. Some are low test scores, disruptiveness, lack of concentration, and low attention span. But through the practice of mindfulness, through workshops, classrooms, again, at home, techniques in implementing these practices, we can be taught the responsibility or the ability to respond to stimuli in a more conscious, aware, and mindful way. With that being said, there are many practices that I, as a yoga instructor and mindfulness guide, teach children. I work with children as my own every day. I also have already started doing workshops at Raymer Elementary with the parents to kind of guide them and give them some more tools to allow our students and our children to use in daily life at school. Developing greater levels of social emotional awareness. Many of us parents don't realize that our children's social emotional development has more to do with their relationship with their self than it does with the world around them. So I am an advocate for giving the children as well as parents the tools that they can use and utilize in more effective ways to allow our children, teachers, and to guide ourselves throughout the day in a better way. Some of the benefits from mindfulness, heightened problem-solving skills. One of the biggest things that our children face in adversity every day is not knowing how to solve their problems and kind of losing in touch with themselves throughout each day in those moments of overstimulation. So as we gain self-awareness, we'll be able to gain our higher social emotional development as well as less stress. Overstimulation of stress, lower health, and there's many things that come from it, which I'm sure we're all aware of. Better sleep, better health, and just kind of introducing these things to the school system as a parent, as well as parents can kind of relate to parents in a better way, kind of more familiar to them that I'm also a parent. That deals with the same amount of stress and stimuli each day, just utilizing the tools that I've been given to make it into a more effective practice. With that being said, thank you for allowing me the time and space to share what I have today. And thank you.
Thank you. Next on organizational input would be Mr. Emilio Ramirez from TAAP. Thank you for joining us. Okay, well, thank you. In section 5, comments by the board. Let me start here. Mr. Vasquez, sure.
Thank you. The only comments I have, first of all, I love the presentation. I learned something in those very short few minutes. I learned some things I did not know, which is good. One of the things I wanted to say tonight is that when we go over the board agenda, which is the consent agenda, oftentimes FACE committee, which is the family engagement, and family, student, and community engagement committee, we often say we don't have any action items. So I'm going to try to make a point of every month talking about that committee. We spend sometimes 2.5 hours. And what I can say is that we TPS proud of the people who are there. One of the reasons we spend so much time is we have a whole cadre of people there. I won't mention all of them because I'm afraid I would forget somebody, and they are all equally important. But we have this whole cadre of people who represent the resources that Toledo Public Schools offers. And, some of those are Parent University, some of those are our hubs, some of those are mental health services that we provide, our homelessness services that we provide. And what we find is that there are a lot of action items that don't come to the board to take action, to take formal action. There's no resolution that we have to present. There's no resolution often that we have to act on. But when Ms. Barnes, who's co-chair, and myself are in these meetings, we're always taken with the commitment that our staff have to the community and representing the whole child and the family. And I know we focus on academics, we focus on athletics, but we also are focusing on trying to get services into the community. And, one of the things that Ms. Barnes and I always comment on is that we wonder how many people in our community really know the wealth of services that we provide. A lot of our conversation is, how do we get the word out? How do we get the message out that those services are there for them and for them to be able to take advantage of? So we're working on that. We're working on a lot of things. So we have action items for the staff. We always ask the staff to, and I have to give credit to Mr. Gant. Mr. Gant come up with this idea that we never leave a committee meeting without the staff having some action items to follow up on. So then every month we go back to the action items to see what has happened, what has taken place in between that month. And so we do have action items. We just don't have anything formally for the board. And I just want to assure everyone that even though you might not know all of the services that we provide as a school district, there are many. And one of our challenges is making sure that we're getting the services to the right places so that people can take advantage of them. So that's what a lot of our discussion is. We had Mr. Armour in as part of the community. We talked about the safety committee. There's a lot of discussion about safety committee, but again, there's no formal action the board has to take. But I do want people to know what's going on. We spent a lot of time talking about it. And Ms. Barnes and myself, almost after every meeting, look at each other and just shake our heads because of the commitment that our staff has. And I mean, when they present, they talk, they try to problem solve, it's with the deepest commitment and passion. And I don't think they're ever satisfied. There's never enough resources. They do the best that they can. They're out in the community. They're out in the homes. And I just want to make sure that all the board members know about that. So we were, this is like about, I don't know, since COVID, and we've been meeting in person. This is probably about the third, fourth committee meeting that Ms. Barnes and I have recognized we put a lot on staff, a lot of people sitting around here to say, we want you to follow up. Would you please do this, do that? So we're going to start reporting on just maybe a couple things every month. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to congratulate JLab. I think I'm so excited for Jones and what they have going on over there. It truly is a game changer for this community. I mean, to be one of only two in the country, right? That's a big deal. And it's a TPS. I love that. I love that so much. Also, I just want to congratulate the retirees. I know they're not here, and I know that they're retiring possibly in June, and congratulations to you. It certainly will be a heartbreaker that we're losing folks, but we wish them well as well. And I am so excited to have a parent in this seat again. So thank you so much for being here tonight. We really are so excited to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just real quick, I want to echo the sentiments of Mrs. Varwig that I'm so excited for Jones Leadership Academy and being one of two schools, and I think that no better school is qualified than Jones for this Bloomberg lab. And very excited for them. And also I want to thank Rogers High School for opening up with our Black National Anthem, just celebrating the cultural connect of this month with Black History Month and things of such. So we're very appreciative to Rogers and the great singing that they did. Finally, when a preacher gets up and says, I won't be long, that means absolutely nothing. But as a board member, I want us to continue thoughts and prayers for the family of Demia Ezel. We were at Glenwood this week, and to see the students and the staff, and they need support. They need thoughts, they need prayers. Our community needs thoughts and prayers. So please take time out of your day and your moments and lift them this week very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome. I'm a TPS parent as well, so awesome to see you. A lot has been already said, but is that a school bell? Oh. Like Mr. Parker said, I hope people are watching what our school does and go through. The staff there are therapists, counselors, crisis intervention specialists, on top of trying to teach multiplication. Like one kid corrected me because I got it wrong. He asked me what I'm doing here. So they do so much more than teach. And I think this is something important that we have to remember when we're advocating in our roles as board members, as parents, that our educators, our staff, they are superheroes to these kids. And some of the things that I heard from the kids when we visited Glenwood I was speechless. But yet these educators and staffs and principals, they put their capes on and kept making sure the kid had some type of normalcy in their day while they're mourning the loss of a classmate. That was amazing. I mean, I couldn't even fathom how to take care of less one baby dealing with grief, but so many other babies. But I also would like to point out, this is why we don't need to add pressure to put our teachers through posting almost their curriculum. They already have so much to do and worry about. And as a child of an educator, their job doesn't stop when that bell rings, the last bell rings. They are worried that their kid is still getting home safe, have food, have housing. And so for folks who want to add the stress to do another step to make them more comfortable with their bigotry is very insulting. If they want to see what our teachers are doing, they should come and they should help our teachers make sure we got supplies, help our teachers make sure their kids got food when they go home, make sure they got clothes when they go home, a coat. And so I encourage us to keep our voices loud about protecting our educators in this fight right now. And just the notion that they don't know what they're doing and we don't trust them is an insult, because when we went, and I can't remember what day it was because my days all running together, but when we went into that school, everybody knew what to do and more for those babies. And that doesn't come with a degree. I'm telling you that now. That comes from the heart. And so I am truly grateful for Glenwood staff and the principal, Dr. Carr over there. They are doing an amazing job during this tough time. And also thank you, Rogers Choir, for honoring our Black National Anthem this evening. I truly appreciate it. And if you don't know the words to that song, please look it up. That's our warrior song for so much pain and still finding Black joy. And I think we all can learn from that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. It's the button. There's a button that makes a noise. Sorry, I'll try not to touch it. Thank you. And it's going to be hard to follow that. And I really appreciate your bringing your authentic passion for this work to us at this time when it's just so hard to even imagine what those families or the schools are going through. And I certainly sign up for trusting educators and stopping the madness, this attack on public education from so many different fronts. And now it's at the classroom door. It's one thing for them to attack us and expect us to have policies that are not conducive to learning, but when it comes right to the classroom door, I think we really need to really hold the line the best we can on those things. I want to thank Mr. Vasquez for mentioning the committee work, and I think it'll be interesting to hear from time to time what some of the highlights are from the committees, and I'll use my comments as I move into the consent agenda. You'll hear me, say the titles of each of these committees and who the chairs are. But again, everyone has had at least one meeting for each of their 3 or 4 committees a month to bring this work forward. I'm just going to mention the Technology Improvement and Processes Committee, and they, Mr. Vasquez is on that committee with me, and they look at technology and processes, just as you might imagine. But they also last year, when it was first brought to us by Mrs. Varwig, set in motion the process for how administration initiatives make their way to our committees, right? So when do they get to committee? When are they just being, talked about and thought about? And at what point, how do they find their way to a committee home? So that's been it's been interesting to see that process play out, and I really appreciate the administration's efforts on that. And I've started to see some of the emails that say, hey, we have this idea. It hasn't gone anywhere yet, but we want you to know there's an idea. You might hear bits and pieces about our idea. And as soon as we've, looked at it a little more closely, and maybe Mr. Steckschulte has had a chance to look at the return on investment, then it eventually will make its way into a committee home for the appropriate board oversight. So the committees are an important aspect of what we do here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't know when you were gonna go into the formal agenda, but I just want to add one more thing. I guess I feel kind of personal tonight, but when our students and our staff were up here at the microphone talking, I couldn't help but notice how nervous the student was. And it's almost Barton's, saying very lightly, take your time, whatever. And all of us who have sat in the president and vice president's chair, we feel that way. And I just want to make sure that people know. I think what happens is this looks like it's a real formal setting, and I think that's appropriate because we do important business. But on the other hand, I think that people should realize that the people who come, the parents and the students and their staff, are the important ones. We are not. I think they get nervous because they think they're talking to important people. But I know my fellow board members, and I know I can speak for all of them. We are not the important ones here. It is the students, the staff, anybody who comes from the community is really important, and that's what we feel about it. So I'd like to find a way to put people at ease. And, Ms. Barnes, I saw you reaching out. Ms. Varwig and Ms. Gherkin and myself have done that. We want to just say, hey, don't worry about it. You lose your place. You're nervous. They don't need to be nervous. They need to know we think they're the important ones. That's all I want to say.
I wanted to tell them if it weren't for Miss Gretchen's, I would lose my place every night. So every board meeting, and I even had to ask her to go back and put page numbers on these, because if I start flipping through them, they won't be in order anymore, and I'll lose my place. So absolutely right on target. So I am going to read through section 6, the consent agenda, and then we'll look for a motion to approve it. So 601 through 621 are the consent agenda. 601 through 605 is the Human Resources, Staff Development, and Training Committee. Chair Polly Taylor Gherkin, co-chair Randall Parker. Items 606 to 611, Finance and Business Operations Committee, Chair Mr. Vasquez and co-chair Mrs. Varwig. Item 612, Technology Improvements and Processes Committee. There are no action items from that committee. Chair myself and co-chair Mr. Bob Vasquez. Items 613 to 615, Board Curriculum Instruction and Academic Excellence Committee, chaired Polly Taylor Gherkin, co-chair Chris Varwig. Item 616, chaired by Sheena Barnes and co-chaired by Bob Vasquez. No action items this month. I believe they had to cancel their committee meeting for a snow day. Item 617, Arts, Athletics, and Student Activities Committee. No action items this month, but that is chaired by Chris Varwig and co-chaired by Randall Parker. Items 618 and 619 are the Family and Community Engagement Committee, FACE Committee, which we highlighted nicely tonight. Thank you. The chair, Bob Vasquez, and co-chair Ms. Sheena Barnes. I would like to request a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Barnes and seconded by Mr. Vasquez. If there's no discussion, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Varwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gherkin.
Yes. Okay, so we are to the section 8, the discussion section. These are some items that were previously pulled from our consent agenda. So item 8.01, which is the non-certified section from our HR committee. I would like to request a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. If there's no discussion, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Varwig,
Abstain.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gherkin.
Yes. Item 8.02 is a resolution in recognition of Black History Month, and I believe Ms. Barnes is going to read that for us, right? Okay.
Resolution affirming February as Black History Month. Whereas February has been designated Black History Month by various official bodies and is celebrated as such in schools, businesses, and governmental agencies throughout the nation. And whereas the Board of Education of Toledo City Schools District, the board, recognize that each student needs an opportunity to understand the common humanity underlying all people, to develop pride in his or her own identity and heritage, and to understand, respect, and accept the identity and heritage of others. And whereas the board further recognizes and celebrates the value of diversity and the richness of cultural heritages within the city of Toledo and within the district, and the integral part each of our many communities play in overall fabric of our history as well. Whereas the option, my glasses are fogging up. Observance permits our community to re-examine its role in preserving the civil rights of all citizens. And whereas the board acknowledges the complex societal and historical facts that contribute to inequities within our schools district, and whereas the board affirms its commitment to appreciating, celebrating, and valuing its African American students, and recognize the importance of acknowledging the history, culture, and struggles of our African American community. And whereas Ohio Learning Standards for Social Studies require that fact-based history, I'm going to say that again, fact-based history from our state, the region, the nation, and the world must reflect the experience of men, women, and children of different racial, religious, and ethnic groups, and must be integrated at all levels. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Toledo City School District that Section 1, the board affirms that Toledo Public School recognized February as Black History Month. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effective from it immediately after its adoption and shall supersede any prior resolutions or acts of this board, which may be inconsistent or duplicative with the provisions of this resolution. In Section 3, it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to this passage of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any end of any of its committees that result in such formal action were in the meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Thank you. Again, I'm very excited to be able to share this resolution and acknowledging Black History Month. And also, again, you'll hear me say the cultural connection of our district and who we are, appreciating all walks of life, all people. And so we're very excited to be able to share this resolution. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to our staff, our cabinet members, and our board members, because I know the importance of being seen, and not just as a Black woman, but as different identities, the importance of being seen and heard and valued. And I know this may be words to some, but here in TPS, we do actions. And I'm so proud of the work that our DEI department, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I'm probably getting it wrong, and Ms. Jeffrey's going to check me. Dr. Jeffrey, excuse me, is going to check me when she sees that. But the work that they're doing to make sure that every student, every staff member is welcomed and seen. And this resolution is just another step in the right direction.
So I would just like to thank my board members who worked on getting the resolution to us. And as Black History Month is coming to a close, it's kind of we get to recognize it towards as it's winding down. But one thing I noticed this year, and I don't know if maybe I missed it last year, but the thing I've enjoyed is the constant social media posts with the little Black history snippets, right? So little mini articles or learning opportunities. And they were, and I mean, I know at least a couple people on this board who were posting them almost every day, as were so many other people in my social media feed. And I really appreciated that. I really, I took the time to stop and read some things. And of course, it's always a reflection to realize how little you know and how much there is to know. But I just want to say I appreciate it for all the people who were feeding it to me on social media throughout this whole month. And I learned a lot, and I really appreciated it. If there's no further discussion, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what, first of all, I want to thank my colleagues for bringing this forward. I think this is always important, and we should be intentional about it. So thank you for doing that. You know what, and again, I love the term cultural connection, so I'm probably going to take that from you. I think that this is really important resolution, and we should be consistent in our approach. And I know that we have a lot of fight, right, in not only our board but in our district, and what we need to come up against maybe at the state level. So to me, this speaks of teaching the truth, and that really, at the end of the day, is what we should be about. So thank you for bringing it forward.
There's no further discussion. We can call the roll.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwick,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes. So the last thing on the discussion section is I would love for my board members to consult their calendars to see if we can schedule a special board meeting to do a working session or retreat. I'm thinking, when is spring break exactly? Like, I was thinking April, but obviously we want to avoid.
It's April 15th to April 25th.
Okay, so did we want to try to get it in before spring break, like that week of between like the 4th and 13th somewhere?
I just want to let you know I will be gone between the 6th and the 13th.
6th and 13th. So either the 4th, 5th, or after spring break, right? Or no, 11th, 12th.
You know what, I need to check my Ohio School Board Association calendar first before I commit.
Okay.
So why don't I do that, and then maybe we could do this via email where we're looking through dates and.
Yeah, so
yeah.
we'll throw some dates around, but at least we have some parameters. Either we fit it in between Mr. Vasquez being out of town and spring break, or we do it right after. And then any thoughts about amount of time? Do you prefer a Saturday? Do you want to come at, and spend several hours starting at 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever? Any thoughts about that? Because I'm thinking about like 3 hours to 3 to 4 hours. We just did a whole day on a Saturday for an OSBA training last week, so I hear you. It doesn't have to be on a Saturday. I mean, we've done it before where we've started, a little earlier than the usual 5:30 time, where I think we, tried to start a little sooner.
How about we just wait and check our schedules for Mrs. Barwick, and
See what
then
the choices are.
then get an agenda together too as well. That way we can stay focused on the task, so hopefully it won't take 3 hours, and then we go from there.
So,
Yeah, I think it's a point of discussion, just a point of discussion. Sometimes it's okay to start a little bit earlier, but when we have a work day, it's not always
That's right.
possible. And then there are the Saturdays, and we can we've done it before. We've met in the morning, and then we're out by noon.
yeah, we have.
So there are probably some different options that we can. But
Yeah.
having it two really good days kind of tough sometimes because of work.
You mean starting earlier in the day?
Starting it earlier
No, I
today,
hear
yeah. So, maybe an hour earlier, like at 4,
Right,
whatever,
which would get us
4,
like
4:30.
till 7, right? I mean, if we could do 3 hours.
Right, till 7 or something like that. It would be- But I think the reason Ms. Varwick might have said that is that what popped in my head is we have OSBA spring conferences and things coming up, so.
Okay, so let's take a look at availability in April, and then
Because this is also for our cabinet members too, correct?
if cabinet members are included.
Okay,
It's open to the public.
Okay, but
It's
I
a
just want to
public-
be respectful of their time as well, because we're looking at vacation times and things of that nature.
Yeah, the way, again, just as a point of discussion, the way we've done before is we haven't had all cabinet members. We've consulted with Dr. Durant, Mr. Steck-Schulte, to kind of, for the president, vice president, go over the agenda, talk about the things we might want to talk about, and then for you to collaborate between you to decide who might need to be there. So, you probably should start having those discussions.
So start with just giving me some dates to choose from, and we'll go from there. Thank you. That was the last discussion item, and I think, see, I lost my place too. We are going to go to the early childhood education action items. And the chair, Ms. Barnes, if you'd like to.
Dr. Allen, I will turn it over to you now. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Parker, you have, not to give everybody a title now. Mr. Parker, do you have anything to say about ECE?
No, thank you.
I'll turn back over to you, Madam President.
Thank you. There are no ECE walk-ins this evening then. I think that should take us to executive session. And we are, I need a motion to go into executive session to review negotiations or bargaining agreements.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Now, if there's no discussion, we can call the roll.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Varwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez, Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes. We need a motion to return from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no discussion, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Varwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes. I think we are to section 14. So Superintendent, any comments?
Again, a great press conference today with the announcement of Medical Mutual donated $300,000 to the foundation. Again, Medical Mutual was on with us in the very beginning. As you recall, they seeded the very beginning money that really got companies going. But more importantly, the board seeded the original money that got that going. And that vote of confidence of the board is supporting the foundation. That's why it's a multi-million-dollar foundation compared to $0. With I made sure to point that out in the press conference to taxpayers that we're finding all sectors of the community to get money opposed to just tax dollars. So hopefully that message was loud and clear with the media today. We have another foundation, Lamb and Goldman. We'll be honoring that on Thursday. They put $500,000 to support early childhood initiative, which we will be showcasing the early childhood bus that allows dental, vision, as well as hearing, as well as poisoning assessment for all pre-K students throughout the entire community. So we're excited about that. But again, it's another thing to be TPS proud about, and we'll just keep it going. Thank you.
Mr. Treasurer, any comments?
I have no comments this evening.
Board members? Around we go.
I have no further comments.
Well, I just want to say thanks to everyone. And then just to, I look forward to the coming months. We're in curriculum, we're talking about two of my favorite subjects, block scheduling and middle school programming. So we'll call it that.
No further comments. Thank you.
I just have to add that also we're talking about bringing in parenting teams in curriculum committee. So I know that's another passion for you, Ms. Barnes. So maybe we'll have to bring you in to help move that discussion along a little bit sometimes. We're working on it. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I just wanted to, oh, I'm doing a bob, hold on. I just wanted to remind everyone that Black history is American history and it should be taught, celebrated, and every day, 365 days a year, not just for February. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, please call the roll.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.